Coming up, what an excellent day for a PSA. Well, howdy folks, and welcome to Minute 42 of The Exorcist Minute, a show where we endeavor to examine, extrapolate, and excavate The Exorcist minute by terrifying minute. My name is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I'm Keenan Diaz.
And we'll be your holy guides on this journey through what some have called the scariest movie of all time. All right, so our minute begins with the end of that fight between Carl and Burke.
And it ends with Chris and Sharon closing the door as Burke leaves. Bye, Burke.
Bye-bye,
See you
Burke.
on set on Monday.
Yep.
Have a good weekend.
Definitely coming to set on Monday. You'll be there. Text us when you get home.
I'm the worst at that. I never do that when people tell me to.
You would drive me absolutely insane. The places that my mind goes when somebody I care about gets home and doesn't text, and I'm like, ah!
Yeah, I split my time between Las Vegas and Tennessee, and I'll be like, all right. They'll be like, all right, let me know when you land in Tennessee. All right, Mom. And then it's 2 days later, like, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm here in Tennessee. Everything's fine.
Oh.
Burke, I think, would be a terrible texter when he gets home.
No. He would absolutely. He would actually call you and yell at you for something he just remembered to say at the party. And another thing. You cunting boy.
This is Burke Dennings, by the way. The director.
This would be after he's unloaded everything. He's
Right,
like,
exactly.
This is Burke Dennings, by the way. As if we didn't know. Oh my God.
So I don't know if you want to keep this in because this is a Woody Allen story. I have a lot of Woody Allen stories. But apparently one of the things that Woody Allen does that's very nice is that when he offers, so let's say he offers you a part in his movie, he sends you a letter.
Okay.
And it says, hello, my name is Woody Allen. I'm a director. And I was wondering if you'd like to be in my movie. And so if you've been in his movie several times, like say this is your third Woody Allen movie, he would still send you a letter. And it says, hello, I don't know if you remember me. I'm Woody Allen. I directed you in The Purple Rose of Cairo. And I was wondering if you'd like to be in my next movie.
Well, that is a Woody Allen story.
Yeah, we don't need to have music for it. And that's a Woody Allen story.
Wow. Well, Woody Allen. But thank you for sharing that. It's like, all the listeners are like, he's sweating. What's Lester going to do? Okay, but yeah. Let's see how that fight was resolved. So in the previous minute, we saw that Chris, Sharon, and the AD. That's the AD, right?
The assistant director of the movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think we're going to see him later, right?
Yeah, we're definitely going to see him.
He's not
later.
identified here, but
Right.
Yeah, that's the same guy.
Yeah. They're trying to pry Carl and Burke off each other. Willie actually takes Carl away and everyone else is crowded around Burke. And I think this next bit is a perfect characterization of Burke. After all that, we have a very self-satisfied Burke and he claps his hands together and he says, "What's for dessert?"
Right. And again, in the script, that goes a little bit longer. So the editor and William Friedkin have figured out, it's best right on that button.
Oh, yeah. I like that better.
Yeah. And then in the book, it goes on even longer than in the screenplay.
Right. I like the last little line in the scene in the book. It's like, oh, you've noticed that too. Like he's genuinely like puzzled about priests being there. But I would equally have liked it if they just cut at "What's for dessert?" because that's a perfect end right there.
Right. It tells you everything you need to know. And then Chris's just sort of stunned reaction is everything that she would have been performing in the next couple of lines.
Right.
That's I don't know if I said this before, but that's this advice that Tarantino has when he writes his scripts. Or I don't know if this is he says this is his process. It might be early on, right? Because this is a guy who's been writing and directing movies for 30 years. But he said that he would go through as he's revising and cut out the last two lines of every scene.
Oh.
So, maybe now when he's making movies, it's just sort of internalized that he starts to cut off scenes earlier rather than like,
right.
What's for dessert?
He writes them with the lines cut out already.
Exactly. Right. But it's really good. So I've done that with students sometimes, like, oh, wow, that's much better. Because oftentimes it's like, here's the line, the emotional climax of the scene. Here's the button for it. And then, well, that was quite something. Oh, yeah, that sure was. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you on the movie set on Monday, Burke. Yes, we'll see about that. Right. So, yeah, a lot of that is just sort of, it's best to cut all that stuff out. Right.
Yeah. No, I am your father. No, that's not true. No, really, I am. I'm totally your father. Like here, it's just like let me just like break it down for you.
Right, like in The Godfather, he says, "No, we're not going to get Woltz to agree to get Johnny Fontaine in the movie," and he says, well, "I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse." An offer.
What do you mean, boss? By which I mean I'm going to actually threaten his life.
Oh, boss, I don't know if you should have said that. This place has been bugged. The feds is listening.
We had the exterminator over here a while ago.
Oh, the boss is getting old.
He's getting mushy, but we love him. We love your grandpa, boss. You can barely read the cue cards.
Here's what I think of your cue cards. Hey.
Yay.
Oh, who left this cat here? Oh. I love cats.
Or, okay, how about the last line of It's a Wonderful Life? Teacher says, whenever a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. Well, that's a strange thing for them to be teaching you down to that school, Zuzu.
What's your teacher's name? I think we got to have a parent-teacher conference.
Right. Shouldn't they be teaching you how to do this new math?
Yeah. Church and state. I mean, talking about angels. I just literally met one, but...
Right. This is why we're falling behind the Soviets. Don't you know there's a Cold War on, Zuzu?
Ask not what your country can do for you.
Oh, boy.
God.
Red Rob.
It's murder. It's murder backwards. It's like, but this is how I can communicate. This is the only way I know how to communicate, Red Rob. But it's murder backwards.
Oh, Tony, you go back in my son's mouth.
Context, folks, context.
Right, that makes perfect sense, I believe, if you know the Shining. But
if you know The Shining, if you know Kubrick's Shining.
Right.
Yeah.
Tony, you get right back in my son's mouth. Man, I know I just said that, but that's so funny. Yeah.
Talking about Oscar Wilde there.
Right.
I just made a quip and made myself laugh. This is where our listeners are like, okay, guys.
Right, we're done.
Come on. Stop. Okay. We sat through the Jesuit Dean stuff. Come on. Are we talking about a movie here? Come on.
We're talking about movies.
we're talking about lots of movies.
Lots of movies.
I'll be right here. But not physically.
Not physically.
I will be in space.
It's a metaphor.
I don't know what beer is, but I know what a metaphor is. Oh, God. Do you have any more Reese's Pieces? Okay. What's for dessert? Yeah. So the last thing we had was what's for dessert, right?
Right.
And then we cut from there to a shot of Reagan in bed. Behind her is the infamous window, which I'm pretty sure is open, though it is out of focus. The curtains are fluttering, maybe not as much as they were in previous shots, just some faint, gentle fluttering, some movement in the back there.
Some wind.
Yeah. And in the foreground, like I said, Reagan appears to be asleep. We have some light moving over her face, and at first, we don't know what it is. The light appears to be moving, and I was like, who's shining a flashlight in this kid's face while she's trying to sleep? Mm-hmm. But then we see that it's not the light that was moving, it's a shadow moving in front of the light. It's Chris's shadow. Her hand comes into frame as she pulls the covers up over Reagan, tucking her back in.
I was wondering about this light that's coming. It really helps us like focus on Reagan and gives us this weird sort of eerie feeling, even though
It's like
everything else in there. Yeah. So I'm not sure what it is. There's two options. Is that the filmmakers are doing this with some kind of bounce board or some other, like purposefully shining this light on her. Potentially what it might also be, is some kind of metal fixture on the door opening.
Okay.
But it wouldn't quite explain the kind of swivelly, weird feeling that it has. So
yeah.
So they're doing this my point is they're doing this on purpose, and it's a really nice way into the scene where we're wondering what's happening, even though what the answer turned out to be something innocuous. Oh, the mother's coming in to tuck her in.
Right.
But it kind of gives us something.
So, I mean, your question is not like how they did it, but like what it's supposed to like be in the world, right?
Yeah, I guess I have both of those questions. So like,
okay.
What is this light? It's not meant to be literally a flashlight that Chris is pointing at her daughter's face, right?
Reagan, are you asleep?
Yeah, so it's not literally that. But yeah, are we trying to motivate it by it's something on the back of the door or something like that? But, yeah.
I always took it as like this is like the light from the hall, like her door is open, and like we get the movement because like Chris moves into the doorway. I thought, but
the shadow is the light that comes in is pretty straight up and down, like the door opening, though.
Yeah,
it's not like it doesn't match Chris's silhouette.
Right. So weird. Okay. So yeah, we got like all of these things like all at once, like the very first like couple of seconds of this scene are posing a bunch of questions, right? It's like, oh, is that the window in the back? What's the light on her face? Whose hand is that? Right?
Is she really sleeping?
Is she really sleeping? Right. Yeah. We got 4 questions before Chris leans into the frame and she asks the question, right? She says, are you sleeping? Actually, what it sounds like is like, are you seeping? And I like this touch. I don't know if Blatty put it there or Friedkin or maybe Ellen Burstyn made that choice. But I like that Chris and Reagan have their own private way of talking, right? Because that's how you do with kids, right? Like, mom and dad, have like their own like private personal language with their children, right? And that's very real. And it also speaks to where mom's feelings are about whether or not Reagan is still a little girl. Because if you're mutually acknowledging the fact that she's growing up, then you might not use baby words like that, right? Like you might, if you want to like respect that, like, hey mom, I'm not a baby anymore. I'm a teenager now, right? Maybe you wouldn't say, are you seeping, right? Or maybe you would. I don't know. I think parents, like to parents, we're always, babies no matter how old they are, right?
Yeah, but you have to like consciously be like, okay, well, I'm going to change our word that I use for sleep or for food or for bath time or whatever. You have to be a conscious choice to do that from a parent, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah. And we don't get an answer from Reagan. Perhaps she really is asleep. But as mom exits stage right and Reagan is all alone on stage, we realize that we have once again fallen into a Shakespeare trap.
Oh no.
Yeah, so Reagan opens her eyes, and just like a monologue or a soliloquy, it is only for our benefit, right? Nobody else is in that room, so she's opening our eyes for us. This is an intimate moment between the audience and the player on stage, and they are letting us in on a secret, and the secret here is that Reagan is awake. Or, actually, here's a question, Keenan. Who is this? Who opened Reagan's eyes? Is Reagan asleep? Is someone else looking at us now?
That's a good question. I read it as Reagan. I don't know. I guess until... that is a tough question. We're going to see Reagan. I was going to say, so my initial blush was like, I don't think that Captain Howdy can control Reagan yet, or isn't choosing like control her body.
Right.
But in the next couple of minutes, there's something that's pretty inexplicable that we'd have to say would be Captain Howdy controlling her. But I guess if she's not like green, I don't know. Is it Captain Howdy in there?
Right. It's hard to like even doing this thing, minute by minute. We're like, let's dissect. Let's see exactly when it's Eileen Dietz. Let's see exactly when it's Linda Blair. But then also if we try that with like, let's see the exact moment when Reagan gets possessed. I don't think we can do it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think Blatty and Friedkin kind of expertly, kind of like insidiously, is kind of like filtering in Captain Howdy. And yeah, it's kind of like up to us to decide whether or not this is Reagan or this is Captain Howdy or maybe a little bit of both. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess you could argue that the Reagan that we're seeing is always Captain Howdy, like, or at least under influence, right? Because we have the Ouija board scene, but it's not to say that she hasn't, like, we don't hear when she's like, oh, I opened this morning, so this is the first time I've been playing with it. She has been playing with it, so potentially Captain Howdy has always been with the Reagan that we get to see.
In the book, there is, I think it comes a little bit later, but there are moments where there's this very, very distressing scene where Reagan is running through the house, like she screams, like mom is somewhere else, and she hears her daughter scream, and then Reagan runs downstairs and says that Captain Howdy is chasing her, and she can see him, and it's like, oh, there he is, and she's like trying to get behind mom, and she's running, and then like there's a visual moment where it seems as if like something got her. And like now she's being like slammed up against a wall or slammed down onto the floor, and it's like, oh, he's biting me, he's kicking me, he's this, he's that. But that happens like I can't remember. I think that happens after the party. So yeah, who's to say like how much control Captain Howdy has yet?
Right, and we don't have. Talking back to like our Tarantino talk about cutting out some of the things that we end up not needing that we would think, like we also don't have a scene where Howdy is like, with the pipe, like, oh, well, you see, at first I had trouble getting into Reagan and I chased her around and I'd get fleeting moments like when I pissed on your rug. However, I still had to throw her around and work on her defenses, right? We don't get that. We don't
Amazing,
get a breakdown of that. Yes, well, elementary, my dear mortals. Quite simple.
Sherlock Howdy.
Yeah. Well, once you discover that young Reagan here likes cartoon motion pictures and sugar cereal, it was quite simple. Yeah, but Reagan looking out at us, Shakespearean like, right? This is the movie version of a Shakespearean monologue, right? Where this is it's directed at us. It's a private moment. It's all about her thoughts, right?
Right.
So we're seeing her having thoughts, which is scary enough, I suppose, right?
Right.
Without knowing what they are.
We have no idea, like, what are those?
Right. It's even more scary because we don't know what it is, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And there's innocent, I would often sleep or pretend to be sleeping when my parents came in, for whatever reason, like, oh, I'm not always like I'm getting away with something, but just like, oh, I don't know if I want to have a conversation or, oh, it's just nice to see how they treat me when I am sleeping, anything like that. Right. Or maybe they want me to be asleep. So we don't know why she's doing this here, pretending. It could be completely nice, innocuous, childlike.
Could be, yeah. Maybe it could be that she's just like 100% Reagan, but she's just like dealing with stuff that she doesn't want to bother her mom with. Because mom's still at the party. She's still having fun at the party. She doesn't want to bring mom down with like, hey, like this Captain Howdy thing has gotten worse, and I got to talk to you about it.
And this is the the movie version, the cinematic version of a monologue. Obviously, there are monologues in movies, but I think about this as a thought experiment a lot. Like, if we had To Be or Not to Be, the most famous soliloquy, if we were writing Hamlet from scratch and it wasn't based on a famous Shakespearean play or anything like that, To Be or Not to Be would be a shot of Hamlet's face. He would then cut to a shot of the knife in his hand, and then cut back to a shot of his face.
Right.
That's the whole thing, right? It's he's looking down. Oh, geez, should I be? Should I not be? Right. All that is implied by the visual language of cinema, to be hoity-toity about it. But of course, when you're making a Shakespeare adaptation, you have to include all of To Be or Not to Be. Right. You can't cut that out. Right. But potentially, if you were doing, say, I don't know if there's a lot of them, like there's like West Side Story is an adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, right? There's not the same. We don't copy line for line, and adapt it. Oh, The Lion King is a Hamlet-esque thing, right? And there's not quite a scene where Simba wants to kill himself. He just sort of has that general. He wants to do that all the time. he has his Ethan Hawke hair, and he's like moody and sort of moping around a lot. Yeah. We don't have a monologue about that.
Right. To be king or not to be king.
Yeah.
Just make it a little bit lighter for the kids. I mean, it's like still pretty heavy. No, like there are a ton of kind of like what I would call Shakespearean moments in other films that have nothing to do with Shakespeare. And it's because, like, I think you were talking about it before. It's like, did Shakespeare mold and shape the way that we think?
Right. So as much as we sort of make fun of ourselves and going into Shakespeare, like, he's shaped not only the way that we think about drama and filmmaking, but about human nature and psychology.
Right. Thought processes and things like that. Right. And what you want to reveal versus what you want to, like, keep behind your mask of, whatever character, whatever player you're putting forth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also wanted to, speaking of Shakespeare, this is great. We're still in the trap. Excellent.
Oh, right.
I wanted to bring something up here as we say goodbye to Burke.
Goodbye, Burke.
Goodbye, Burke.
See you in the next minute.
See you in the next minute. We'll definitely see you in the next minute. We will absolutely see you. This isn't goodbye like goodbye. Let's say see you later. See you later. But no. So you guys, like you and Andy Keenan, mentioned back in minute 14 how Jack McGowan played the fool in King Lear, starring Paul Scofield. And I got really excited because it was another King Lear reference. So we got Reagan and Goneril and all that. And B, because that movie with Jack McGowan is Carl's alibi when Kinderman asks him where he was on the night of Burke's death.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I didn't pick that up until, like, later. Carl basically says, no, I wasn't with Burke that night. I was watching Paul Scofield in Lear. But that means technically he was with Burke because Burke's in that movie. Or at least Jack McGowan is, right?
Right.
And it's even more fitting because Carl considers Burke to be a fool, which is his character in King Lear.
Right, so, except the fool in King Lear speaks the truth, and Burke does not.
Yes, the Jack McGowan's character in King Lear is smarter and more eloquent than Jack McGowan's character in The Exorcist.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. But that, Keenan, that means this is a universe where Burke Dennings and Jack McGowan exist at the same time.
Love it. Love it. I remember Meryl Streep was talking about The Hours, her movie The Hours, and she said that she one of the things, I think she's being a little tongue-in-cheek, but she said one of the reasons why she took the movie is that when she read the book, her name is mentioned. She's a character in that world, Meryl Streep. Oh. Like, someone's like, oh, I saw a Meryl Streep movie or something. So I like that even, like, when you are the best actor in the history of film, it's still like, oh, look, my name, they mentioned me and how great of an actor. That's nice. She seems to be genuine. I love her. She seems to be genuinely surprised when people talk about her in those terms still, or she's just the best actor in the world. Yeah. And she tricks us, and she's really an egomaniac.
Oh, boy.
But she's always like, oh, they like me. That's so interesting.
Does she write letters to people being like, you may not remember me, but...
Right. But my name is a synonym for acting.
Yes. You may not remember me, but you've seen me in such movies as... Okay, so climbing out of the Shakespeare trap. There we go. Okay. Whew. Okay. That was a deep one this time. So we cut from Reagan's face back to Burke. So again, some time has passed. Burke is deeper in his cups. Chris and Sharon are helping him to the door. I imagine this is something they've done 100 times. Mm-hmm. I was trying to work out what Burke was saying. Keenan, could you make any of that out?
Oh, shoot. Hold on. Let me listen to it again.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay. I have no idea. It sounds like he's singing. It sounds like he's singing or trying to sing something, but yes.
Yeah, subtitles say drunken singing. And at first, maybe, yeah.
Right.
Well, no. Like at first, maybe I thought it was the song that popped up in the X-ray down on 33rd and 3rd, or toid and toid, as they say it in the song. But that's what's going on in the next minute.
Right.
So when Father Dyer is on the piano, so maybe he's trying to sing along, but he's not even coming from the room where they're all singing. It looks like he's coming from the dining room. At first I thought maybe he just like stayed there in the kitchen and just got drunker, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe hanging out with Chris, but there's no way to know. And we only know that time has passed and Burke is now super drunk.
Right. Well, if he did stay in the kitchen, I don't know if I'd trust him. Like he smashes a cup in the previous moment. He's like, here's my glass. Man, smashes it.
Yeah.
Like, no more glasses unsupervised for you.
Yeah. He doesn't strike me as the guy who'd be like, oh, let me clean that up for you. Like, yeah, that would be Carl's job or Willie's job.
Right.
And so Chris would not want them in the same room again. So. Yeah, so she'd probably like usher him off somewhere.
Right. Well, Burke doesn't seem to have any problem with Willie, probably because he called Willie a Nazi once, and she was like, "Oh, please do not. That really bothers me." And he's like, "Oh, that's not fun anymore." Right. Let's move on to her husband because her husband.
I like it when people get angry at me.
Right. Right.
I don't want to make anybody sad. Jeez. What's coming to this world? You call somebody a Nazi and they break out in tears. God. So they're carrying him out, and he seems to be in a good mood. Maybe he pissed somebody else off in the time between. And now they get him to the door, and Chris says, "Listen, Burke, your car's at the curb. Louie's waiting. It's nice and warm. So is Louie the valet, or is Louie driving him home? Because I don't think Burke is in any sort of condition to be driving home.
I think Louie is the driver that drives Chris
Louie
around.
is Mike the driver."
Is Mike the driver? Okay, hold on. let me listen to him.
No. I'm agreeing with you. So Louis is Mike.
Louis is Mike?
Oh God.
You're agreeing with me,
just
but
finished with Jesuit Dean. No. Okay. So remember, back when Chris finishes shooting.
Yes.
And she's walking down the steps.
Right.
And she gets to
her car. She puts her little bag in, and she's
right. And I was like, "Oh, we're gonna meet Mike the driver, right?" And he's and she's like, it's like, "Oh, I'll walk home, Mike." This is right before Tubular Bells, right? She, instead of getting in the car with Mike, whom she clearly says Mike, his name is Mike in the movie. It's like, "I'll walk home," and then Tubular Bells, plays as she walks home. But then I think I remember you said that in the screenplay, Mike's name is Louis.
Okay, let me look it up. I did that in real time while you were speaking. In the screenplay, Mike the driver's name is Tommy. I feel like walking Tommy.
Oh, okay.
So Louis is some other
Louis
driver.
is completely okay. So still I have questions because so the way that Chris says so Louis is waiting. It's nice and warm. So that implies that Burke is not going to be driving.
Right.
Like he's going to be like sleeping in the back seat or something while Louis takes him home. And then we have this really funny bit of business. Burke is sort of standing there, and then he hugs Chris, and it's really sweet and really cute. But like also we get a shot of Chris's face, and she's surprised, but she's also not.
Right.
She's like, "Yeah, this is my Burke." And then she pulls away, and it looks like he's about to say something. And Chris says, "Yes, honey, what?" And her tone is really motherly. And like, again, we get the feeling that this is not an unusual occurrence, right? She's probably taken care of him in this exact way many times. And we can even see Sharon, and she's looking at him with kindness and patience because, yeah, she's probably been there for those Burke sitting sessions as well. Now, Burke struggles valiantly, but alas, he cannot remember what he was going to say, and so he turns away with a wave of his hand and a half-formed curse on his lips. The subtitle says "fuck," but I don't think he even manages that. Sounds like fuck.
Right.
So he is far gone. If Burke can't even utter one of his favorite words, he is way more plastered. He is plastered, spackled, grouted, and mortared. He's been moited. He's been moited. He is 3 sheets to the southwest wind. My goodness.
Oh, really good comedy lesson that I got once in a script I had written, a sitcom, like a 3-camera sitcom. So very jokey. Every other line is a joke, And I said, "Oh, I don't know about that. He was always pretty drunk." Right. And then my friend is like, "Oh, whenever it's drunk, you should replace that with some other fun word. There's always a more fun word than drunk." So
yeah, I was thinking, it's like, can we like go off and like explore like what are some other, like, do you have any favorite ways to describe someone being drunk?
Well, with that one, I went sloshed. I think slosh is a funny word for it. Hammered, of course. Oh, geez. I do like mortared now, but anything like blitzed, tanked. Yeah, any of that's fun because any of those hard sounds sound like you're drunk, but any of those soft sounds too. He's a little squished.
He's a little squished. He's a little possessed. No.
A little PAZUZED.
He's a little PAZUZED. Oh my God. How has no one used that? It's PAZUZU. He's going to PAZUZE you. He's going to PAZUZE you. He's going to PAZUZE you. Father Karras, it's my daughter. She's PAZUZED.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, Miss McNeil. What?
I said she's been possessed. The power of gravity compels you.
God.
Your mother's your mother's in here with us, Karis. It's a really fun time.
Why? Let me ask you this: why you do this to me, Demi?
Why you and just as Karis's mother,
Right.
she gets like just she stands up in the bed. She's like, let me tell you
Let me
something.
say this to you.
So I wasn't able to say this when I was alive, but God damn it.
Why you do this to me, Demi? I ask you that.
And looking like just really, really kind of like intensely into their eyes in the way that it's like, I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk.
I'm not possessed. Maybe you.
I'm not possessed.
Maybe you're possessed.
Maybe you're possessed.
You're projecting.
You just what was that projecting? Oh God. She's imitating Burke in every possible way.
That's right.
She's throwing up. She's
Accusations.
cursing. Accusations. Flames on the side of my face. Oh my God. I worry sometimes if we get like a little bit too, like we're getting goofier and goofier. We're getting silly.
It's a goofy movie.
Yeah, it is. I would say it's even goofier than a goofy movie. God. Okay. All right. Bringing it back. Yeah. So then Burke leaves.
Bye, Burke.
Bye, Burke. See you later. Really. See you later. Yeah. You're definitely coming. This isn't goodbye forever. So he leaves, and we get a shot of Chris and Sharon's reactions, right? And again, it's shock, it's disbelief, but it's also fondness. And they share a look, and they close the door. And then Chris dramatically leans against it and says, "God, I hope he makes it." And Sharon says, "I do too." So wait. Is he driving home?
No, he's definitely not driving home, right?
Why would you say, "I hope he makes it"?
I think it's like, I hope he makes it to the car.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that would make sense. Because yeah, that's... Because that confused me so much. It's like Louis in the car.
Right,
it's
Louis
nice
driving.
and warm. Oh, good. Burke's got a chaperone. He's being driven home. But then she closes the door. It's like, God, I hope he doesn't die in a huge fireball. Like, why would you say, God, I hope he makes it? Like, the car is at the curb. Okay, but now, you've assuaged my fears, Keenan.
Well, we did talk about all the smoking in The Exorcist. Chris uses her cigarette as a prop in Dr. Klein's office, right? And this certainly was the time before Mothers Against Drunk Driving and the huge culture change. You try to explain that to our students, nowadays about like, yeah, people used to drive home drunk, and it wasn't, it was seen as not something you'd want to do, but it wasn't like, oh my God, I can't believe you let that person go drive drunk.
Right. It's so baked into the culture now. It's like it's unthinkable. It's like, wait, what? No. But yeah, like to that point, I imagine Burke has driven home drunk many a time.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
that is what people.
If he's directing drunk, yeah,
exactly, yeah, that is what people did back then. But yeah, when you're directing drunk and at the command of a lot of machinery, if you haven't been on a movie set before, you should know it is a very. It's not. Let's not say it's like an unsafe place. Like it's not like there's not like table saws everywhere, but like it is a place where you can get into a false sense of security, and safety is a really major thing in a film set, right? Because people have died on film sets and in terrible accidents, but like it is a place where like it tricks you into thinking that, oh, this is a fun magical time and it's safe, and but it is a work set, right? Yes. It's a work site. Yeah. Like the people who work there dress like they're on a construction site for a reason. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the land of make-believe. There's no way that this sword fight can actually hurt me until it does.
Right, exactly.
Until somebody makes a mistake or I'm going to dive from this building, but it's okay because it's not actually a building. It's like, 10 feet off the ground, but still that can
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's out. Well, not out forever. No, I'm not. I wouldn't imply that. At all. But yeah, like I was saying before, Burke strikes me as the type of guy who has done this before many, many times. But for you folks out there, a little PSA. Don't be like Burke. Don't drink and drive. And don't be like Chris and Sharon. Don't let someone who's drunk, especially someone as drunk as Burke seems to be, drive home. We got Ubers now. It's easier than ever to take care of this. And Chris, you have money. Even if you don't got Ubers, you can make Ubers. You can get someone to drive him home. Where's Mike?
or Louie or Tommy.
Or Louie, right, yeah. Mike, Louie, Tommy.
I also heard a recent study that, so if you are someone who is getting drunk, to be sure that you get an Uber or get a ride, because it's even dangerous for you to be walking home. That walking drunk is an incredibly dangerous thing. But of course, you don't think that. You're like, okay, well, I'm doing better because I'm not driving.
Right. I'm not going to crash.
Right.
Yeah.
But like the day after New Year's, apparently there's a lot of fatalities of drunken pedestrians that we don't think about.
Right. Yeah. I can see it like just stumbling on the curb and then just falling into the traffic or something like that.
Right, exactly. Be safe out there. One of my students, Lou Deal, they would say whenever we were talking about safety on a movie set or whenever we were in class and like, let's do that safely, they would turn to everyone and say, hey, you know what's not lame, guy? And then do the little finger guns thing to everyone. And then they say, safety. So that's become my little motto. So you know what's not lame, guys? Safety.
You know what's a total bummer, guys? Dying. But yeah. So I'm assuming that Louis is the driver, right? I wonder, is this why we made a new character in Louis being the driver? Rather than, Jesus, Chris, how many drivers do you have? You got Mike the driver, you got Tommy the driver. Well, I guess they're the same person.
But then Carl's the driver.
And Carl, right? Carl's supposed to be the driver for like the main driver, right? But I can see like why they would have someone other than Carl be the driver for Burke, because that scene would be, well, actually, I kind of want to see that scene. Carl driving Burke home. Oh my God. In any case, so this is the minute where we literally close the door on Burke. Keenan, is there anything else we want to talk about in this minute?
No, I think we got it.
Folks, this has been another excellent Exorcist Minute. I've been Lester Ryan Clark. You can reach me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I am Keenan Diaz, and you could find me on Letterboxd and Instagram as Howdy Keenan.
Howdy Keenan. I love it. Our website for the show is theexorcistminute.com. We also have a Facebook page, so if you like us and you want to share us with your friends, you can head over there. We also have a listener group on Facebook called Compelling Conversations. Just request to join and we'll let you in, and then you can be in here with us. And also, if you want to leave us a message, our email is theexorcistminute@gmail.com, all one word. We want to hear from you. Tell us how you found this film. What's your history with it? What's the scariest moment in the movie for you? Do you have any memories of like when you first saw it? We love hearing other people's experiences with this film. Lastly, if you like the show and you want to help us out, the best thing you can do for a new podcast that's just starting out is to leave a little 5-star review, and that'll help other people find us, and we can keep growing this cool community. I met so many really cool people already, and I want to meet more. All right. So, Keenan, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I think I am, Lester.
Folks, until next time. The power of Jimmy Stewart compels you.
The power is not here. It's in Bill's house and Fred's house.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Exorcist! Merry Christmas, Washington, Georgetown University.
My lips bleeding, Burke.
My bed was shaking. Your mother's in here with us if you want to, just like stop by for some tea. Every time a bell rings, PAZUZED gets his wings.
Now, PAZUZED, that's a funny name for a fella, isn't it, if you think about it?
It's a Wonderful Life, but it's just, instead of Clarence, it's PAZUZED. Hey, are you going to tell me not to jump? What? No, I think you should go ahead with it.
Oh, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it this time. PAZUZED.
Oh no! Stop! No. He just has a nail file. He's like, no, don't do it. You got so much more to live for.
That's the beginning of this Christmas classic, and I'm going to kill myself. That's really what happens.
Wow, good old family fun. And they say I'm weird.